All right, we are live once again. So, I have my beloved here, Amanda. She has,
I look like a pufferfish.
yeah, she looks like a pufferfish today, and
so
we will
just ignore me.
explain why in a few minutes here. But just an introduction. So, about 3 days ago, Amanda recommended that I listen to a podcast about male circumcision and the effects of it. And I listened to the podcast, and it totally blew my mind. The tremendous, horrific effects of circumcision on men, and the effects emotionally and psychologically, and of course physically and sexually that it has on men.
And their partners.
Yeah, and their partners.
And families and communities.
Yeah, and Amanda's intuition told her to tell me to listen to the podcast, and it's totally, it's just really shocking me, and I'm going through a lot of emotions and processing a lot. And in today's live video, we'd like to share with you an experience Amanda had yesterday that relates to this whole discussion.
Yeah, so I was going to an appointment, and Jack was like, "Oh, I'm going to do my day number 2 or 3 or whatever it was of the Facebook Live, since he's got so much community support and interest on this topic." So I was like, it's not only about sensitivity, it's also about, or it's not only about the trauma of the pain, it's also about the numbing that happens with boys and then men through circumcision. And I just got this download, and I can't remember exactly what I shared, and see if I can channel it again. But then I went to the appointment, and what it was is I had a dental appointment, and they were like, "Yeah, we're going to do like a little periodontal cleaning." It ended up being that I had this like pretty intense surgery on my mouth without knowing it. And so I had the experience of getting the numbing experience of anesthesia injections. And as I was going through the process, I had this knowing that this is exactly the experience I'm supposed to go through, so that I could understand Jack's pain and experience of circumcision. And as I was going through the process, I had some downloads, and I wanted to share them with you, men or women who are supporting your men in healing from circumcision trauma. The first thing is that there's this crazy polarity that happens when you're being numbed, because first the prick comes in and you're like, ouch, fuck, that hurts. It's really painful, especially for a penis, and especially for a little baby who's super sensitive. I would imagine that trauma would be pretty severe. And then you have this second layer, which is the numbing. And so you have this polarity of like, ouch, this should hurt, and then you have the numbing. And then the numbing comes in, and to me, in my own experience, the numbing of the anesthesia is a trauma. It's a toxin that's going into your body. I did research on this yesterday, and if you know of anybody who's doing anything with anesthesia, you actually are traumatizing the body. You need to clear the body of anesthesia with things like milk thistle or any type of liver cleansing thing. So little boys, little babies are growing up with these drugs inside of them, toxifying their livers. That is a whole nother conversation. But then you've got this numb surface. You've got a cock, or in my case yesterday, it was my mouth. And the soul is going, I am alive. I am an animate object. I am sensitive, but you don't want me to feel this. It better be for a good reason. And then there's this other layer of total trauma on the body. You're removing the foreskin, or you're removing some part. And as I was going through this process consciously yesterday, I was like, oh my God, I'm hearing scraping noises. This is so painful. This is very traumatic. There's no one there comforting the child in this process. You're just kind of like, whoop, no big deal. We don't want to feel this. Don't feel this. It's fine. And on some level, numbing does help, but I was very grateful yesterday that I didn't have to bite a bullet or something. But at this other deeper level, there's no one there that's comforting the inner child in his trauma. And there's no one there that's actually talking to the tissue, or the tissue down there going, you're going through this. It's actually happening, and it's severely traumatic to your tissue. and maybe it's going to be okay, maybe it's not, but there's no communication. It's just like, there's the numbing, you're fine. And so I would say that that represents something that we have in our culture around our sacred sexuality, of like, it's not there, but it is. It's we, you know, like, this is more than just your foreskin that we're taking off. This is a symbol of a sacred piece of you. It's basically what, like the male clit.
Yeah.
And so then there's this numbing agent that's going on, and to get it on, you have to take little needle injections, right?
To get what on?
To get the numbing agent in, you have to have,
Yeah.
you know, these traumatic, and then it's like, it's not happening. So, like, what kind of metaphor is this for our sacred sexuality in a deeper level? Where do we in our lives have this? Yesterday I came home and I was just sobbing. I was like, oh my God, that was so traumatic for my beloved. Like, he's gone through this as a baby. And all of us go through, I'd say, pretty traumatic births. Like, if anybody has given birth or been around a birth, or your mother's talking to you about a birth, the birth experience itself, for most people, unless you had a tantric orgasmic mama who's just a priestess, most of our births were probably pretty traumatic for us. So to pile on another layer of trauma of something like, what is it? Babies get something like 15 injections within their first, like, in American hospitals. It's different in Europe, but we heard this yesterday. We need to do more research, but that's what's overwhelming me with grief and sadness and fear, and having experienced this trauma yesterday. Like, I'm still going through trauma. I'm going to go get a couple of sessions from some healers, because surgeries are invasive. They're freaking scary. So I just wanted to tie this back into the numbing. Jack and I have a very deep soul connection. We have a very beautiful bodily connection, and there's also been this like numb sensation in him and in our sexual union, and it's been something that we've worked on, and it's a challenge that I find fun. Like, I like to play with him, and to like, I'm very sensitive to energy, so is he. So we work on the energy level, but clearly there's a piece of him missing that we're needing to reclaim. And Christina Lopez has a message.
Well, we've been getting a lot of messages.
Okay, my intuition's like, we gotta read that.
Okay, I agree. I've had 3 epidurals and still have a part of my bottom numb. I can't even fathom what an infant goes through.
Yeah. So surgery, I mean, God bless the medical community for helping us get through pain when we need it, but there's this overuse of medicine. I remember there's a joke, actually, about the difference between Chinese medicine and Western medicine. And the Chinese medicine people say that, well, Western medicine believes that we have too many organs and not enough chemicals in our bodies to survive.
Wow. And from what I've learned, I mean, in the past few years, is that, like, the human, like, God designed us in a way that, I mean, in an incredible way. Like, he designed our human bodies that function in these incredible, amazing ways, and everything works together. And it just, you know, something doesn't feel right in just cutting parts of our body out. You know.
Well, especially when all the research shows that it's not necessary or healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes you do have to cut out cancers or whatnot, but if there is no reason and there's also a natural way of living, then why not take that?
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience with the numbing and like what process you're going through?
Yeah. So with the numbing, I mean, I am physically numb in some areas.
Well, you're not numb. You're not numb in your belly.
Okay. Yes. I'm like hypersensitive in some areas in my belly, and
like if I touch him like gently the wrong way in certain areas, he freaks out. But then if I touch him on his penis, like in the same way, he's like, "Oh, that's fine." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'll just be graphic. Like, my penis is fairly numb compared to I think how it would be if it wasn't cut. And I mean, it brings out emotions of anger around this.
What other emotions?
Well, deep sadness, deep grief. of what I realize that I'm lacking physically.
I really love how you're claiming your cock. Like, Jack was in the kitchen this morning with like this big bottle of coconut oil, just pants down. We have like a window right in our kitchen, and people, we live in Bali. We live on this like little river waterfall thing. People are like walking by, and like he's just naked, like putting coconut oil. No, you couldn't see through the window exactly what he was doing. Like, he was invisible, but he's just like holding space for his cock, just like, I love you, like, and you weren't saying it out loud, but you were just like oiling up your baby, like with baby oil, like it was this
Coconut oil,
yeah.
not baby oil.
I know, but it was coconut oil, but it was like this baby, and I just love that you're like holding space for this sensitive part for you. It's really gorgeous to me, and I was like, I wasn't getting like turned on, like getting off, but I was like, my energy was just like, that is so sweet. Like, I could just see like a group of like priestesses around you be like, oh, like that's okay for you to touch yourself and love yourself, and like I was just holding space for this grief that you were holding in your cock. And I said to you, I was like, honey, I know we'll heal this, we'll reverse this, we'll bring back sensitivity through our medicine together. I know what's happening, and this is our sole purpose, and I promise you, you will have more than what you lost. Like, the average American who has a circumcision, the whole, like, typical guy who's watching porn, who's just, living the unconscious sex life, like, bless him for being on his journey of carnal pleasures. And what we can teach each other as two conscious, awakened beloveds, we call it twin flames, but whatever you call that, with the love and with the medicine of the twin flame tantra that we women priestesses can support you with and channel for you. I'm just channeling this. There's no scientific research on what I'm saying, but my inner knowing, which I think is the place where women and mothers need to make that choice of how to not cut their sons, or how to, support their sons. It's that same knowing that's like, I can help you uncircumcise yourself. Physically, it's gone. There's no way, unless there's a re-decircumcision, whatever. But obviously that's not going to happen. But we will replace the level of pleasure through our magic and our practice, and I promise that to you if you want.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
She's sensitive on her mouth.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive.
Yeah.
I look like a blubberfish.
One of our viewers said she hears the background noise. Yeah, we're actually we're in Bali, and there's actually a waterfall, a man-made waterfall right outside our door.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the rice paddies. We should probably tour you around, but Jack's phone doesn't really have the best Wi-Fi. But yeah, we are living in the middle of this tropical, lush place in Bali, which is the perfect nest through which Jack's pleasure is opening up, but also his grief around not having the pleasure being bestowed upon him at birth. And I think we should talk about our sexual awakening last week with being on Gili Air.
Okay.
You guys like to hear about how, so with all this grief that Jack is going through, and all this like doomsday of like, oh no, like circumcision explains why like I've got this, like heavy cross to bear. There's also like these miracles that are happening in our sex lives simultaneously, and I noticed that in my life, when like one thing dies off, there's this resurrection. So Jack is actually going through what we're terming a divine resurrection. Spelled with an E. And he's actually, I was like, you need to take that URL. I channel people's brands, and I was like, that's your brand, divine resurrection. So, do you want to talk about Gili Air? This little island.
You wanted to talk about it, so go for it.
Okay, you're open. Okay.
Yeah, I'm open.
So we went to this little island that's about 2 hours off the coast of Bali, and you get on a speedboat, and you're in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and I was thinking, oh God, I hope there's no tsunami and earthquake. Of course there was an earthquake, and then okay. Anyways,
get to the point.
I was like, we're on this island to have a sexual awakening. Like, it's time. I want that. And we've been having like slow sexual healing, but I'm like, I want what my friend Sierra Sullivan has. She is amazing. She is this explosive goddess of sexual squirty energy, and I love Sierra. She's like so empowered in her pussy, and I'm like, I want my man to give me what Sierra and Rano have. They're totally probably fine with me sharing that as part of their sole purpose. So anyways, I'm like, Jack is so powerful. He's the man I've chosen of all the millions of men out there, and I want to fully connect with him. So we did a medicine journey there. If you need to know like the backstory, I'll just give you the short story. They sell in this culture, it's legal, it's part of the culture. They sell a specific medicine like at the bars, just like alcohol. They sell this plant medicine, and it gives you psychic visions and third eye awakenings, psychedelic, and it's a medicine that I've worked with as a shaman in many of my past lives. And this plant medicine, we did a journey for Jack. And do you want to share about your journey with your sexual energy?
I mean, I don't know how far to go with it. I mean, it's a long story. And
well, see, the thing is, like, you're going to have to bring in these different sides of yourself into your work. Doesn't it feel like that?
Okay.
So I think Jack is scanning, like, should I bring in my medicine man into this conversation? Because we're talking about circumcision, and that's medical, and that's facts and statistics.
Yeah.
I think people would like to hear about all sides of Jack. That's mine, but...
Okay.
How far?
Okay, I'm open to it. So, okay,
like,
so I'm gonna bring in a whole new side of me here, like my multi-dimensional side. Yeah, Amanda and I use plant medicine every now and then. It's now one of them is marijuana. It's now apparently illegal. It is legal in California now.
Not in Bali. We don't do it here.
We also used it medically there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been awakening different multidimensional sides of me, and I've identified different archetypes of myself, such as Archangel Michael. That's what we've identified it right now. And then this galactic military leader guy. I don't know what his name is yet. Then a lion. My animal totem is a lion. I don't even know what to call it.
But he is a lion. He's not like it's not like a spirit guide. He like is.
Yeah,
a
when
lion.
I'm on plant medicine, there's a certain period where I'm like I feel like I'm actually a lion, and it's actually strange that I'm in a human body to me. Okay, yeah, now we're attracting some of the conscious people joining this
well,
video.
you're all conscious.
And then in our ceremony on Gilead Island, I went into potentially past lives and into the archetype of this emperor, and it felt like Genghis Khan, maybe, or something kind of like that, some Roman emperor.
Kind of intense guy. He's kind of a
and
dick.
I saw these I was seeing these visions of these massive parties, like tons of wealth. People have everyone was naked. It was like a huge orgy. Everyone's making love to each other, and I saw, just everyone just going crazy. It was like this just huge orgy, and I felt like, whoa, first of all. And, okay, we're getting some comments here. And I felt this feeling like, if I was Genghis Khan, or if I was this emperor, like I impregnated like hundreds of women or something, and I felt this, this tremendous power, but also, I think like some shame around like impregnating too many women or something like that. This is a little strange to talk about. I mean, it wasn't super clear visions. It was just like some glimpses of it.
But it felt real to you.
It felt real, and so I felt like this feeling like I need to like close off my sexual energy because it's too much. Yeah. And in my past lives, I've impregnated too many women and something like that. And maybe I was just projecting my shame into these visions or something like that. I don't know. But that's what it felt like. And once I connected with that and realized that deep shame, I then brought that into our sexual relationship. And Amanda was like, yeah, give me that.
He was afraid to bring out that beast or that Genghis Khan energy, and he was like, I'm afraid I'll kill you. And I was like, that is the energy that I actually want as a woman. I don't want the numb, suppressed, I'm a nice guy, totally. Yes, like Jack is an angel. He's got that Archangel Michael, but I wanted the combination, and I was like, please bring in like 80% angel, 20% this intense dark energy of the Emperor, and bring it through your entire body, bring it into your cock. And he knew exactly what he was talking about, and he was able to do it. And I had the most epic sexual experience. King Rana would be proud, and so would Sierra. He's here. I was talking about how you give Sierra this amazing pleasure, and I just have to bow to King Rana.
King Rana is here.
Yeah, soul brother. So, this experience, whether you believe in past lives, I mean, here we are in Bali, Indonesia, where everybody believes in past lives. Like, if you don't believe in past lives, you're outside of the norm here, because we're part of the Hindu culture, and, you know, the top scientists here are like, of course, in a past life this happened to me. But if you think of this experience that Jack had as more of like a metaphor or as an experience of the collective unconscious, it does not matter. What's of utmost importance is to realize that probably within all powerful men who have a repressed sexual energy of some sort, and we all do, as women, as men, we're kind of repressed unless you've really worked on this. And there's probably many layers of even the top sexual, you know, tantrikas or whatnot. They probably have repression too. So this repression ends up being the perfect excuse to numb our children. And I did see a comment that Evan Mark Katz made, and I think that's really...
Leave out the names if you can.
I'm just aware what are coming up? Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if people want their names shared or not.
Okay. Cool. Well, there's all kinds of really cool, you know, people chipping in with comments about their opinions on that they really honor circumcision and love it and use it as part of their Jewish tradition, or different, you know, reasons for wanting circumcision.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. Like, we have no, like, biases, or, I mean, I have my own opinions, I have my own experience, but I welcome everyone else to have their own experience too. If you love the tradition of circumcision, that's fine.
Yeah, share the, you know, sharing awareness, sharing our stories isn't meant to be like, no, you can't have this. And I think that for me, my personal opinion about, you know, I come from a Jewish bloodline, but I kind of opted out a few lifetimes ago, and my grandfather was Orthodox Jew, and then it stopped there. But what I've seen is, like, in any tradition, it's so beautiful to repeat patterns and traditions that work for that group. And if the souls that are coming in say yes to those rules, and it's very clear, then there's that. But what I feel scared about is if it becomes like this is the rule for all of society, and there are a lot of people in society now that are going like, that's not working for me. There's these problems coming up. Let's address this. So
Hold on. What I'm concerned about is the unconscious, like, oh, it's just normal to be circumcised, and just like, okay, we're just going to circumcise everybody. Like, totally, like, we're not even thinking about it. We're just like, okay, like, I don't even know the reason for it. It honestly is, well, from what I've learned about it, I mean,
unless
it feels,
it's a tradition.
I mean,
I'm
very, yeah, I don't want to go on a rant, but yeah, I think the fact that it's just like this normal thing that we don't even think about, and I think there's tremendous ignorance on this topic in the United States, so that's why we're making these videos. But let's complete the story about
the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. No, the
experience.
Okay, awesome.
Do you feel complete with that, or?
Well, basically, so Jack embodied this dark masculine energy and this lion energy, and I opened like I've never opened before to anyone. And part of it is because I saw his vulnerability, I saw his love, I saw in his eyes, he had this deep tenderness as well as this anger against the feminine. And I imagine there's a part of him that's probably very angry against the feminine not protecting his little boy, not only against his foreskin or, you know, whatever the trauma ensued from circumcision, but Like, if we look at that as a metaphor, as everything's a metaphor for everything else, there's probably a deep ancient wound of, now that we've been in this existence of the patriarchy for so long, where women have been cast out of the temples, where women have been, hitting glass ceilings in the bank systems and owning land. It's a very small percentage of the world that's, owned by women. And so we have these boys that grow up with this confusion of, why is my mom not saying no? Why is my mom not standing up to this dark masculine energy? And so I felt his young innocence looking into my eyes, this young innocent boy that was just wanting my love, and then this angry dark masculine, like Darth Vader energy, that just wanted to fucking kill me for having wronged him and abandoned him, and I'm like the worst.
Oh, that was another part of the sort of psychic journey that we had, is I was seeing all these past lives of being a king and like leading a military, and like I believe I have ancestors. I did a DNA test, and I believe a good amount of my ancestors were Vikings, and the Vikings just totally, raped and pillaged a lot of countries and towns and in Europe, and that's like part of my history in some ways, I think. And I think there's a lot of shame around that, and just this energy inside of me that's, it feels wrong, but it's like still there, and it's this, I think every man has this energy, like the energy to kill things. That's how we survived as hunter and gatherers. We go out hunting and kill, and then we would go out and fight other men in battles. And so I think every man has that energy inside of him, and nowadays it's like, I would say it's shamed by our mothers growing up. I'd say it was for me. And it's this energy that subconsciously is, I think there's a subconscious conversation going on that's like, that's energy's not okay. Like, you better stop that, or, you're going to get a timeout, or, you're going to get scolded. And I think I got that message clear growing up subconsciously, and so I just stuffed that energy. And I was even scolded in preschool. I was actually with my preschool girlfriend, and I was like on top of her, like rolling around on the couch, and the teacher ripped me off of her like pretty violently, and I think scolded me and like yelled at me and said that I can't do that, or something like that. And
you may have had an experience like that as well, whether you remember it or not. These tiny little children with their tiny little experiences, we have that inside of us, and we might not even remember it, but like that adult can just take away our power in an instant, a message or something like that. That's been something Jack and I have been working through for about a year, I'd say.
Yeah, and then you think about the physical act of circumcision and actually cutting off a part of boys' genitals, like, think about the repercussions of that too. So the circumcision, the physical circumcision, plus all of the shame that is put on boys at an early age of like, you cannot bring that energy out because it's bad and it's dangerous. I think that has influenced me to suppress that energy that's dark, or it's dangerous, or it's the part of masculine energy that can kill things, that can dominate things. It's been judged as the patriarchal masculine. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm saying it's just part of who we are. And I think there's a shadow side and a light side to it. And for example, like Amanda wants me to bring that out in the bedroom.
I do.
And so I go through this process. I'm like, well, I've been shamed for this my whole life, and I've gotten a piece of me cut out, and I have all this trauma in my hips area, my genitals area, and so it's like I was taught that this is not okay, and then she's wanting it, but then she's also kind of scared of it too, and so it's like this whole dance, and it's really intense. It's a really intense, powerful energy.
Can I share why I'm scared of it?
Yeah.
So I'm aware of a lineage of a history of rape in my lineage that has been in there, and it's confidential information, but somewhere in there's this blueprint of women being raped. I have not been raped to my awareness, but I know many women in my life have gone through a rape experience and have this generation. Basically, probably all of us have a lineage of rape because there was so much raping and pillaging that went on in different colonies and places on the planet. It's part of our DNA. So there's a part of me where, like, it really was horrific having women in our line being raped and maybe conceiving children out of this crime and this trauma. And so there's energy there in my womb space that holds an ancient memory of, like, ow, no, oh my God, this is the end of the world. And it's like fire, it's like passion, it's like yes, because the energy beyond the judgment.
So it's like no, and it's like yes. So it's a total, like, yin and yang paradox.
And why we call in rape, this is my belief, why we call in rape, or why we call in a car accident, or why we call in any type of big energy like that, is it's a part of our soul. Like, everything in our reality is created through the hologram. Like, we are in a universe, and we're the center of our own universe. Everybody says you're not the center of the universe, but you are the center of your YOU universe. When you call in this expression of trauma, it's because there's a part of you returning to yourself that's saying, hey, don't fucking forget about me. So when we cut off from our sexuality, or when we cut off from our pleasure, we end up calling it in. And this can happen on a whole level of a civilization being like completely Christian, like, nope, we don't do this kind of thing. And then there's this trauma that comes through the church, or it comes through, you know, another group coming over and
yeah. I mean, I've been to men's retreats where we did a shame circle around our sexuality, and I would say almost half of the men there had been raped by a priest in the Catholic Church.
Wow.
And I was just like,
and we don't even talk
dumbfounded.
about
I was
that.
like, what?
And that's not necessary. I mean, it could have been that group attracted, you know, like, but probably we are sitting among our brothers a lot, acting like nothing has happened, and a lot has happened. And Jack and I have worked with hundreds of single women calling in their beloved. That's the work that we do. And so many women that have it all, they've got the dream life and the dream body and everything. You think, oh, they're just totally happy and everything's perfect, they just need the guy. And we do deep work, and it turns out they've been sexually abused, they've been raped. And it's like, there's not a space in our society to talk about this. We're just starting to talk about it. And I think as we unearth these dark sides, and we let them be and love them and integrate them, because they just are, then we can bring that into a healing light.
Yeah, so that's what Amanda and I are working through lately, and we had a huge breakthrough on the Gili Island of Gili Air, and of just me, first of all, like, feeling that energy and accepting that energy, including with the shame and the anger and the aggression and this, yeah, and like fully like experiencing that during our sexual experience, and her just like welcoming it, and
there was such beautiful polarity.
It was amazing.
I felt this like intense dagger of fire that was coming from his love. Like, he was not just he wasn't like a dark porn star. He wasn't, you know, channeling the devil without, you know, it was like so integrated with his entire body and with his entire love. He was careful with me. He was like, are you sure? Do you want this? I granted permission. I granted full access to my being, and my body has never been so wet. Like, I swear, like a portal opened, and it probably did. And I'm so looking forward to continuing to deepen our sexual practice that comes from, unfortunately or fortunately, it does come from the trauma of different sacred wounds that we're bringing to the light. And as we're polarizing and alchemizing the polarity, it turns into orgasm. It turns into this liquid and this medicine, and it's healing to our bodies, and I imagine it's healing to the planet.
Yeah, and I remember the day after that experience, just feeling more connected and more in love than ever before with you. Yeah.
I'm like, don't look at me, I look like a
Oh,
pufferfish.
sweetie. Yeah.
Jack has been so great through this experience. I mean, how awesome is it to have someone that loves you through a surgery where you look like this? I mean, I'm like, hopefully the swelling will be down by tomorrow, but or the next few days. But having someone love you for who you are, and me loving him for, I mean, all of us could find a person who's better, right? Like I could have found a guy that's just a sexual Italian stallion. Like, I dated some Italian stallions. I lived in Italy, and I just love you. I just love you. And I want you to continue to penetrate me with your medicine, because it's so healing, and you are my twin flame, and you have these codes that need to access me and open up gateways. And it just feels freaking good. And I love sharing this with the planet, and I love sharing this with you. So thank you for being here.
Amanda has no filter. She just full transparency all the time.
I could put on a filter, but it's just a lot of energy for me, and yeah. And then I become this box. So yeah, thank you for letting us be us, and for you being you. I hope that you bring your kookiness and your truth and your beauty and your life force to your day. And thanks for your beautiful comments.
What else? Any conclusions or takeaways? If anyone has any specific questions, go ahead and ask it now, and you can answer those real quick before we close up this video.
Well, I think one question that's coming to mind to answer is, how do you get rid of the numbness? And one, give it time. It might take some time. For men, and for women in relationships with men who have been either circumcised or who have been sexually repressed. And I think they're two expressions of the same.
And we're talking about all different types of numbness, emotional numbness, even psychological numbness, and sexual and physical numbness. And I've experienced all of those. I believe everything's all connected. That's what I've learned in spirituality, learning from spiritual teachers around the world, is everything is connected.
And we got a question of, have you watched the circumcision process? And Jack, you have, and I have not.
Yeah. I would say it definitely is an eye-opener, and it helps you realize what actually happened to you, and it's probably going to bring out a lot of emotions too.
Yeah, I haven't been ready. I've been going through surgery this week, so it's like, I'm good on watching a baby scream and trauma. I'm already absorbing.
Okay, so
Jack.
Comment: what is the best way to not do what was done to you when you describe your preschool experience? I don't ever want to put my sons through that pain. Well, here's the thing. That's the thing, is you can't control society. You can't control other people. Like, I can't control the preschool teacher who ripped me off of my girlfriend and traumatized me. I was so angry after that, and I just learned to suppress my anger after that. And so I would say the main thing is, as a mother, nurture your sons, nurture your kids as much as you possibly can. Ask them about how their day was, and if they just say good, like I did growing up, I just said good. I was closed off emotionally. I would always say good, I'm good, when I really wasn't. I was depressed. And so if you can keep asking your sons, asking your daughters, like, and notice, like, visually, like, how do they look? Do they look happy? Or do they look like they had a bad day? Ask them about it. Ask lots of questions, like, what happened today? Like, you don't look super happy. Like, did anything happen? What did the teacher do anything to you? Tell me about it. Open up to me. I'm here to support you. Let me know if you ever need to talk to me about anything. And just nurture them through the experience. I believe if my parents nurtured me through that experience, I've never even told them about that. I certainly didn't when I was young, I don't think.
I think you have to do that next week.
Although I wonder if, I don't know if the teacher told my mom about it or not. Maybe he did, and maybe she just thought I was being a bad boy. But nurturing your kids through every, through those experiences and helping them through it.
And I actually, I think if we have our inner child who's still very much alive, so Jack and I, we've been doing this healing work for, I think, about a year with that experience, and I actually nurture his inner boy. And so we're two adults, and we know that we're not little kids, but I still, as a woman, as his partner, and literally, or how do you say this? As twin flames, or as a man and wife couple, or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, we're embodying the Divine Mother and Divine Father. And so I'm actually mothering Jack when he shares his experiences, and I'm doing that in the bedroom, even with role playing. So I'll just let him know, it's totally safe to be sexual, and I'll be like, see, does this feel good? This is safe, this is good. And I'll give him a lingam massage, a cock massage, and it's reprograms his brain, and I can see it.
This is the benefit of dating a priestess.
Yeah, always call in a priestess if you've been sexually.
Yeah. And guys, if you want to attract a real priestess, just message me and I'll help you out.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoy, it's like my inner mother. I love to mother things. You give me an old plant and I want to mother it. I love fixing up, domestic spaces. I love mothering my man. And when we have kids, I probably won't have quite as much time, but this is a great time in our relationship where we're really healing the scar tissue of old wounds in our sexual trauma. And it's been going two ways as well. Jack has helped me heal my sacred sexuality in a lot of ways, like we mentioned with this experience of him blasting through some of my ancestral, epigenetic imprinted DNA, where women in my lineage have been traumatized. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, and you've gone through a lot of heartbreaks in this lifetime too. And
he is my heart healer.
We've been doing a lot of healing, especially the first 6 months of our relationship was a lot of healing from the past heartbreaks and the past pain. And now my pain is coming up, and it's time for Amanda to support me through that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an honor. I love it. I have my Divine Mother has a place now to really go there. And thank you for letting me in. Thank you for letting me nurture you. Even sometimes his little boy's like, I don't want it. I don't need you. And then he's like, yes, I do. Because that's the post-traumatic, reaction is I just want to shut down. I don't need your help. So it's taken me some time to kind of open him up and be like, honey, what's really going on? And then he'll be like, It's fun. He works with my inner child too. It's pretty hilarious. We have lots of laughs. Well, thank you so much for joining us. How do you know if you're a priestess? That's in video number 73. We gotta go. That's a whole nother topic. But I'm tired of looking at my face in this camera. It's pretty intense looking at.
And some of the ladies are saying that they basically they think Amanda's amazing. And if you want to connect with her, just add her or follow her on Facebook. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And keep the comments coming. And we love you guys. And we look forward to posting many more of these. Really enjoying this. Really enjoying connecting with you all. Yeah.
Namaste from Bali. We love you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for having me here too. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you guys. And we'll talk soon.